You're tuned in to the Smart Love Podcast, where real stories, real lessons, and real love meet. This is your space to grow, heal, and elevate every part of your life, from love and relationships to success and wealth. It's all about that smart love. Get you some. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. All right, I'm live. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to another special edition of Smart Love. Super excited about this topic. Today, we're talking about the war on Black love. I got my good men coming back. I got a special guest for you as well. We're really going to dive into this topic that is so near and dear to my heart, and I'm just really excited. So I'm not gonna hold you all up, but let me share my screen one moment. Okay, just wanted to share a couple things with you all before we jump right. Okay. So, as I mentioned, our topic today is the war on Black love. Okay. And I truly believe that this conversation is the beginning of many conversations that we need to have as Black men and women. And it's going to help us to start to heal some of the wounds that will bring us closer together as a unit. There are so many factors that have led to this war on Black love. And if we can figure out how we can come together and win, we will be much stronger together. So that's what this is all about. Just a quick little introduction about Smart Love. So Smart Love Inc. is a platform that I've created for like-minded men and women to come together to discuss real life relationship topics. We're going to learn from each other's experiences. And overall, our goal is to inspire true love in relationships today. We want to be transparent. We want to share information with each other and really just make real connections with like-minded people. So my focus on every single show that I do and the people that I bring on is really just focusing on teaching the art of love and feminine and masculine roles in nurturing relationships. This is a quote by Angela Davis. I thought I fixed this. I guess I didn't. The breakdown of the Black family is due to our economic system of capitalism, which emphasizes profits over people, and our political system of racism and cronyism. That's a quote by Angela Davis. So with the impact of slavery and discrimination, there's been so much negativity that has caused the instability of Black families in America. The statistics and trends related to dating, marriage, and divorce among Black African Americans show that Black men and women face distinct challenges that influence both our family structure and our ability to find partners. I wholeheartedly believe that more openness, empathy, and support for each other is what is needed to help us strengthen the relationships between the men and the women. Just wanted to kind of share some of the statistics to kind of jump off our conversation. Since the 1950s, the decline of African Americans' marriage rates began back in like 1950 through 1955. We were about 77.6% of African Americans were married. By the 60s, it was down to 61%. The 70s, it continued to going down to the 2000s, where we're now in the 32%. So like over half of a drop in marriage rates. Today, based on the latest census, we're about 31.2% of our population is married, compared to 54% of the white population. In 2009, 70% of Black babies were born to unmarried mothers. 2015, 55% of African Americans had never been married. So these are just some statistics that kind of help show that there's definitely continued divide amongst the Black family. Some of the factors that have some of the divorce factors that have played a part in this is, of course, the fact that Black couples have a higher rate of marital dissolution compared to white couples. And still going back to the fact that we are less likely to marry, but we are more likely to separate or divorce. Divorce is more socially accepted in Black communities versus other demographics. Separation is about 4 times more common amongst African Americans. And of course, we have all the economic factors that play into a lot of these rates, from the financial stressors of unemployment, our Black men being incarcerated at higher rates. It's just really causing a lot of strain on marriages, which actually, leads to the increased divorce rates. So that's why we're here. We're not going to let all of these factors stop us from coming together. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring on the fellas, and we're going to jump right in because this is a very important topic. And I know the fellas that I have on tonight have strong opinions about this, and everyone wants to be heard. So we're gonna just get started. And we're not just here just to talk about all the problems and the symptoms and the point fingers. We want to come up with solutions. Okay. So let me go ahead and bring my brothers on. All right. We got Damon coming on in. Hey, Damon.
What's up, folks? How you doing?
All right. So we got Mark.
Yeah, what's happening?
What's happening? All right. Nye the Great coming in from Milwaukee.
You like a gloves off. What's going on, y'all?
All right. And we got our special guest coming all the way from the Nation of Islam.
That's right.
All the way from the Nation of
Stanley Muhammad.
Peace, everyone. Peace.
All right. Okay, fellas, I am super excited about this conversation. I know we have been going over, different discussion topics amongst ourselves, but I really just want to start by letting each one of you kind of give your explanation of what you feel this war on Black love, or if you feel there is a war on Black love, or just your take on this topic before we dive into some deep questions. So I'm gonna start with you, Damon, because you're right here to my right.
Oh, so I get put on because of proximity. Okay.
Yes.
The war on Black love. Wow. I mean, we could go in a lot of directions with that. Part of it was a political and government process to destroy the Black family, because everybody knows the power base in America and in most countries is about family, right? So we have powerful families. Communities are usually better. So we could talk about that. We could talk about how many of our brothers and sisters have reduced relationships down to transactional agreements. We could talk about that. We could talk about people trying to survive, and some of these options that are available don't allow them to survive at the level that they think they should. There's a lot of things that are at war. And then there's also a growing population of people who are dissatisfied with what marriage provides or what marriage looks like. And so they just opt out. They don't. You gave statistics, 60% of marriages end in divorce. Why would you do something that's got a more than half a chance of failing? And so a lot of people are just opting out of, traditional marriage, traditional relationships. So there's a lot of things that are attacking our relationships. And so I think we have to delve into some of the more systemic stuff, but then we also have to talk about the more community-based stuff that we're dealing with as a culture.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Damon. Yeah, you brought up so many things that I hope that we can dive into today. So thank you. All right, Brother Mark,
What's happening?
what are your thoughts on this war on Black love?
Well, this really here's what I have to say about that. War to me is either one or two things. It's a breakdown in communication, right, between two. That's what causes war, where someone may be thinking one thing, someone may be thinking the other, right? Or sometimes it can be a misunderstanding, right? So for me, when I hear the word war, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of there's a breakdown in communication when it comes to the two genders, right? I'm noticing that in some cases, we think that one is supposed to be thinking as equal to how we think, and a lot of times that's not the case. So we have to get an understanding that one, we don't communicate enough, and also we try to put others into the space of what we feel what's being communicated. So we got to get to understanding. I think that's what the problem, the war is. We just don't understand each other.
Well, Sister LaDonna, I would say that the topic that you have, we must actually define the words. Because if you don't really understand the words, then we don't understand how to get to the root of the problem, because there's so many misunderstandings in communication. And so when we say Black, so many of us have our own definition of Black. But in the context, the beautiful context you grammar this topic, Black is not a color. As we're taught by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and divine leadership of Honorable Minister Farrakhan, Black is the essence which all color derives from.
Absolutely.
And when you talk about Black, you talk about first. Everything came out of darkness. We came out of the darkness of our mother's womb. As the Holy Quran says, that we came out of the triple darkness of our mother's womb. And Allah said, and I created you from your mother's womb out of triple darkness. The Bible says in the beginning, the universe of the earth was full of darkness. And then he said, let there be light. So Black means original. Black means first. And the first being in the universe is God. And the Bible says in the book of Jeremiah 8:21, God says, I am Black. You hear that? See, many of us, so when you see a Black person, you're seeing someone who is a direct descendant from the originator of the heavens and the earth. That's why you're Black, because you're the original man. You're the original woman. And when we say love, the Bible says God is love in the book of John, chapter 4, verse 8. So when you say love, you're saying God. So now we're talking about a divine subject. And so we have to go to the root of this subject, which is God. We can't absent God from this subject, because the woman that we're looking at, we didn't create her. The man that the woman's looking at, she didn't create him. And guess what? We're not even wise enough to even create the seminal fluid that we all actually derive from. So I think that the war on Black love has to be the enemy of God. And that's Satan himself. Because who would make war on love? Who would make war on Black but an enemy of God or enemy of love? But now we must be on this show to identify who is the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing we have to realize that now is that the enemy objective is to make us into himself, that we'll be a carbon copy of that enemy. So we'll be black but white-minded. We'll be black but have the mind of the KKK, self-hatred.
Oreo.
And so the same way the enemy on the plantation treated our women, we'll treat her the same way. He called her a wench. He put her on the auction block. Turn over, wench. Bend over, wench. Look at this wench, and the highest bidder. That's nothing but a modern strip club.
Oh.
That's the same thing they do in Magic City. It's the plantation selling our women on the auction block all over again. She's new. Turn over and you throw the money at her. That's the white man's mindset, the enemy of black love. And unfortunately, the slave master had made us into himself, pardon me. In closing, in 2024, we still got his name. That's a chain of slavery. So when he purchased our ancestors on auction block, we had the names of God, Kareem, which means gracious. This is the attribute of God. Rahman, which means beneficent. And then he said, well, he took us out of that name. And then once he purchased us, he gave us Mr. White, Mr. Roundtree, Mr. Smith. And here we are with family reunion with those names on our t-shirt, the Johnson family reunion. And we glorifying the William family reunion. And we are so happy to be his slave. And so here we are. We have to face the reality that the enemy have made the black man into himself. And the way we treat our women, it parallels the way the enemy treated our women on the plantation. So a few good men, and hopefully we can define what a few good men really is. And because few means that doesn't mean many. It means just that, just a few.
Just a few. All right. Thank you, Brother Stanley.
Thank you.
All right, Nye.
Ooh, where do I start? So to piggyback back off of what Brother Stanley was saying,
that wasn't a pig, brother. That wasn't a pig, okay?
Yeah,
bean pie back.
That was something heavy. That was a Clydesdale.
That was a horse, brother.
That
was a horse, brother. That wasn't no pig.
Go ahead, man. I'm sorry, man.
To add on to what Brother Stanley was saying. Let me add on. Let me make more. Okay, so oftentimes they know who we are, but we don't know who we are.
That's right.
So it's a reason behind it's a reason behind all of this. When the welfare movement started, the welfare started in 1938 and on. A man couldn't even be in a household. They actually sent workers out to come check without you knowing. So a lot of people saw, especially some women saw, that it was economically beneficial because they didn't get the benefits that they would get if they were married or they had a man in the house. That's one. That's a small part of the pie. But the main thing is the reason why they have a war on black love, black people in particular, is because it's a numbers thing. They don't even being born each year, every year it's increasing. So they think that we want to overpopulate them and get them back to slavery, but we just want peace. We just want separation is our reparation. That's what I always say. So the war on black love is very important to keep the family unit apart, because and it start with the man and woman. If we can get that if we can separate them at the root, then a family's not even possible. You get what I'm saying? So now with this social media psyop, they got less than 30% of the women that's putting this negative stuff out here that's less than 30% of the real women's opinion. The same thing with the men. The men put this bitter stuff out here about black women. It's really less than 30% of us. But like they say, the most ratchet is the loudest. The most negative is the loudest. It travels the furthest. So this is why these things are getting certain traction. I don't want to go too deep, but that's one of the reasons why I'm gonna close like this.
Right. Also, let me just add a little bit on that. On top of that, one of the things too is that I've always looked at it like this: if a certain race is attacked, that means whoever attacking us would be considered behind us, right? Because when you're number one, you don't worry about number two, right? Number two doesn't matter, right? So we must be better than what we are, especially if we're under attack, and we have to realize that first.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
We got to realize we at war. We don't. Most of us don't even know we at war.
That's
Been at war.
Brother Vince, welcome. So we are just.
Hey, thank you. I apologize for being late. I had a meeting that ran over.
Oh no, it's fine.
So,
it's fine. We're just getting started.
I apologize, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be a part of it. Yeah.
Yes, glad to have you.
How you doing, brothers?
So,
good, my brother. How you doing,
brother?
Yeah, so we were just really each person was just kind of defining what this topic is for them or what that means to them, the war on Black love. So if you want to just take a minute, think about it. I know you have some strong opinions about this, so what do you feel about the war on Black love?
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm having a bit of it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm having a bit of an internet connection problem. I apologize. Can you repeat the question?
What is the war on Black love to you?
I guess probably the best way I can define it from what I have seen and heard is basically I think we're at war with ourselves, to be honest. It really, really boils down to mindset. It really boils down to how males and females feel about each other and how they interact with each other, etc. Yes, society plays a factor into it, but ultimately it boils down to him and her, from my perspective.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that how do you think we got there, in your opinion?
I think it's generations. It's generations and generations and generations. We can take this all the way back to the plantation and how we feel about each other.
Right.
When they
right. Let me ask this. I'm sorry to interrupt.
The fair-skinned Black. I think it really
but also
started there and has just progressed.
Right. But also we have to remember there was a time of greatness with us before. This hasn't always happened, right? We can agree. We all can agree on that, right?
Absolutely.
So absolutely. So yeah, okay. So the thing about that is that at one point we showed greatness, something had to happen to interrupt that, right? So when I asked how did it get there, obviously if we're made in the likeness and the greatness of the Most High, that means something had to interfere, right? Something had to interfere. So I think it would definitely be best that, which we are now, identifying that something threw that off, right? And then we begin these bad habits, right? So the root is what's the most important thing, is my point.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's a great segue to our conversation. So if we go back to the root of this problem, right? Because when we were over in Africa minding our own business, our families were intact.
My family was here.
Your family was here.
No, I know your family was here.
Apologize.
Okay, what's going on? I'm sorry.
Vince is speaking. Go ahead, Vince.
Vince is just saying he's having
Yeah,
internet
so I was
issues.
saying I was having some
okay.
internet issues. It's sporadic. It's kind of going back and forth. So, Mark, I didn't get your whole story.
I think my story is this story of how we got here, right? And so how again, like I guess I'm gonna make it real quick and easy. So I'm gonna say this. There's history books and information that show that we were people of greatness. We still are, right? There are books that show that, right? So from the time from here when we were on top of the food chain, right? We can say that, right? Something along the way had to interrupt that, right? I don't believe, unless someone can help me with this, but I don't believe that we naturally converted that way, right? I think something interceded within that greatness, and that's the beginning of where we are right now.
I think Brother Stanley Muhammad can answer that one. Of how of why we're going through evil, basically, because that's what happened. That was let in. That was allowed for a certain amount of time.
Right. Well, the thing is that since we are direct descendants from the creator of the heavens and the earth, and we are taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that the supreme being is self-created. He didn't have a mother or father to create him. That's what makes him God. And the scripture says that God said, let us make man in our image and after our own likeness. See, so after he created himself, he first had to make a man. See, man comes first, and then the woman comes from the man. As we know that we have both chromosomes, X and Y chromosome, right? So it's the man that determines the sex. So that means that man has to have the qualities and the attributes of God to lead the people, his family, the woman, his children, to God. Because the Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, starting with the first verse, it says, God is the head of Christ. Christ is the head of man, and man is the head of woman. Not head in terms of master, head in terms of servant. See, Jesus was a servant of the people. He didn't come to be served. He came to serve. And that's the way we have to look at the woman of God. See, she's not man's woman, she's God's woman. Amen. We have to look at the spirit. How can I serve her? How can I serve my children? Now, but we only can be the head of woman if Christ is our head, if God is our head. And so now the question comes, who is God? And if the white man won't treat us right, he's not going to teach us right. There's churches on every corner saying Jesus saves in the black neighborhood, in the ghetto, but we're still not saved. Because they're teaching the slave master's misinterpretation of who God is. But now we have to go on that journey to find out who God is. And I'm going to close with this. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us through the divine leadership of his spiritual son, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, the knowledge of self is the knowledge of God. The more you learn about who you are, the true self, that's how you learn about God. And you can't even love God more than you love yourself. The degree we love ourselves, that's the degree we love God. Now, when we talk about self, the woman is a part of ourself. See, we got that X and Y chromosome, right? So she comes from us. So abusing her is like abusing yourself. Not loving her is like not loving yourself. So here we are. The root of this war is that we, like my brother Vince says, we hate ourselves. It's really something that we have to look at within ourselves, because white people can't do anything to us but that which we allow them to do.
Facts.
But when we start really loving ourselves and we unite based on that love, see? But you can't love yourself if you don't know yourself.
Yep.
How can you love that which you don't know? And that's why we got to learn, why am I black? Am I black because I'm cursed, because I'm a descendant of Ham, what white people taught me? So I'm taught to be a slave of the two brothers because Ham looked at his Noah nakedness, so he was cursed. And guess what the Jewish rabbis say in the Talmud? It's not a divine book. It's a book they wrote with their own hands. It's a misinterpretation of the Torah. They said when Ham was cursed, his skin became black. His nose became thick. Broad, I'm sorry. His lips became thick. His hair became kinky. And they teach that in the theological seminary school.
You said it right.
Cemetery school.
You said it right.
Hey, and the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon teach that the Lamanites are cursed and they black people.
That's what I'm saying.
And if you accept Joseph and Jesus in this lifetime, you get to come back to this earth with white skin, blessed with white skin, and die from cancer. No, I'm just playing. From melanoma. I'm just joking. But yeah, that's what it says.
That's an excellent point, brother. See?
Right.
Yeah, I read the Book of Mormon just so I could get this thoughts. I said, why these boys riding bikes around here?
Okay, so brother, I think we've established who the enemy is, right? Everybody can agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Do we have to say everybody agrees who the enemy is?
Oh yeah, everybody unanimously.
And what do you all think? And I'll let each of you answer this. Like, what do you think is the reason why the enemy wants to keep the black man and woman apart? They want us at war with each other. They want us separate. I'm gonna start with you, Nye, because we just had this conversation.
Like DJ Khaled said, we the best.
That's right.
Hey, when they warred over in Europe forever, if you watch the movie Braveheart, they was fighting each other for a while, then they took their show on the road. So they got a lot of practice. We was peaceful people. You know what I'm saying? So when they came to infiltrate, some of the places that they showed up, we saw them was like, what? We were so enamored with the lack of melanin, we didn't pay attention that was what they was coming for. So they infiltrated everywhere it was a pinnacle, a high pinnacle of society. They infiltrated. They went to Africa. They went to South America. They came here in America. They went to, when we were in India, they went over there. In Asia, they went over there. They always followed us everywhere we went to basically dismantle whatever societies we built. So when the same thing over here. So knowing who we are, though, they know who we are. They got books and books of history of who we are. They know we the guys and they used to worship us. You know, so when knowing all that, it's like you got this power. You got these powerful pocket guys that you got control of, and the only thing you have to do is keep them separate and dumb. And you can you can get a LeBron James out of that. You get what I'm saying? You can get a Michael Jackson out of that. And I'm not knocking them. They doing great things during oppression. But I still recognize this is wrong. All right, I'm going to close that.
Okay.
Wow.
Damon, you've been quiet over there.
I'm taking it all in because your question is a combination of history, politics, culture. There's so many different levels to it. But my answer to your question is that if you can imagine everybody that lives on your street coming together and making a decision and they all agree on it, how powerful that would be. Like you multiply that by the people in your zip code, then maybe multiply it by the people in your state. So just think about how powerful we would be as a people if we all came together. So that's the biggest reason why they don't want the black family together. If you want to tie history to it, in the civil rights era, a lot of the civil rights activities were supported by black families. So if you look historically, right after the civil rights movement, like Nine said, the welfare system kicked in because they realized that a lot of these powerful families, and some of us that live in Atlanta, you hear some of the names of some of these families. Every major city has these powerful black families that have money and power and influence. So if you begin to break that down, if you no longer have a power base of black folks who have economic power, who have power over education, who have power over religion, who have power over healthcare. I mean, so then you begin to see, if we can break down this family, we can impact everybody. So I think that's, to me, the biggest focus is just taking away that power base of now you can't influence and impact the world because you don't have families that are coming together. So if all of our families came and sat down in the room and said, okay, we want to build a house in this neighborhood, we could do that. But if you multiply that times 100,000 families, you could build an entire city or entire state. So we don't want that kind of power. They're not interested in that kind of power because that changes some things. It's the same thing with the abortion law, too much power. Too many black folks, too many brown folks being born, too much power. Education, we're being attacked on education level, too much power. Healthcare, too much power. So it's about breaking down that power base.
Yeah, absolutely.
Killing the momentum.
Yeah. What about you, Vince? You got anything to add, or you agree?
I think Damon hit it all. It's not much more I can add behind that. I think he was spot on and he was, on point. But, we got to get back to, we can continue to keep pointing the finger. And yeah, there's a lot of things out there that are against us. But what are we doing for ourselves? How are we educating ourselves? How are we bettering ourselves?
We're
gonna get to that, brother. We're gonna get to it. Best believe we gotta, when you're dealing with certain audiences, you gotta build a case first. We're gonna get to
some didn't know.
Let's build a case. Amen. Let's build a case.
Yeah. Yeah, some people just found out we were at war. They didn't know.
Today, right now.
Well, it's easy. It's easy. All you have to do is watch commercials on TV and notice that they don't show black couples anymore.
Man, I was just about to say
they
that.
show mixed couples. If you look at all the commercials that you see on TV, you don't remember now. Just remember, a couple years ago, they had commercials specifically for this product and that product. And they would show black couples, a black man, a black woman, and black kids. But now, when you turn on your television and you see a commercial for any product, I don't care what it is, you see a mixed couple with a mixed race baby or mixed race child because they're sending a message to us. Hey, you don't have to do that. You have other options out here. You can.
Population control.
We don't necessarily want you to reproduce with your own people. There's other options out here. So just pay attention to that. Just turn on your TV.
It's the same formula too. It's the same formula. Yes. They used this formula back in Kemet. They used it here with Pocahontas. What they would do is they get in with one of our women, like the Asians are doing in Africa right now. They having Asian babies, and it's really black babies, but a lot of them are gonna go with survival. So they're gonna go. That's what happened in Kemet when those mixed pharaohs started to rule. It started to dismantle everything because they were favoring the non-blacks. Right. And it's the same thing right now. They're using the same formula. He's right. I said, I made a post. I was like, what does Hollywood have against black love? Because every TV show, movie, unless it's a black producer, you cannot find a black couple nowhere. Even if it's gay, which I don't but it's still not a black couple. It's not. That's what, and you got to look at that and be like, I mean, even I could be real petty, right? Go to if you got an iPhone, go on your iPhone, look at your emojis, and try to find a black couple. It's that serious, man.
No,
It's that
seriously,
serious.
Right.
You gotta
everyone in
download
the
it.
chat.
You gotta download it.
Right.
You gotta download the black emojis for your phone. You gotta
Yeah,
find it.
everyone in the chat, go ahead and put, if you can find a black family, a black couple,
Black family,
a
black couple,
a black woman and a black man. If you can find that emoji, put it in the comments. We'll wait.
Right.
Well, while we're waiting, I want to say this to what you said, Nye, and to this whole someone. I'm looking at the comments. Someone's talking about blood mixing and about these different races come together. I think we are doing a disservice to our younger generations by not sharing some of the stuff that we've learned along the way. I saw someone posting here about Francis Cress Westling's teaching about the power of black people, the power of black DNA, right? And so even though other races are mixing with black folks, you realize that those children are going to be black.
They still black.
No matter what no matter how you try to dilute the race, our DNA is just powerful enough that they're going to be black children, because we all know if Nye sleeps with a white woman, Asian woman, Indian woman, he's going to produce a black child, right? He's going to do that. But the other power of his DNA is that Nye can produce a child of any color, but they'll still be black.
Facts.
They'll be black. So I think when we talk about solutions, we need to start teaching our younger generations about the kind of power that we have, whether it's genetically, whether it is education. That we don't emphasize that enough. Our younger generation is more concerned with fitting in and standing out at the same time, and don't really understand the real power of who they are and what they have. So I think we need to do a better job of teaching them the real, some real information about who we are as people. And then black love will be of something more attractive.
Right. Now, if I may say, my brother, you made a good point about if all of our people unite, it will be a powerful sight to see. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Mrs. Farrakhan teaches us our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. See, and we know the power of an atomic bomb. And that's the power that we have potentially. And that's why the enemy uses divide and conquer. See, we want to be divided based upon, well, this is the way I see it, that's the way he sees it, we're different. But we have to, in the way we unite, we have to focus on the common denominator. Right? Now, we all agree that none of us got here by two men. Right?
Oh man!
Okay,
all
we
right.
all agree on that, right?
I hope we all.
Okay,
listen.
Right.
Okay,
So we got to keep our audience. Mr. Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad. Well, at some point you're gonna leave, but we both have. I'll say this: we both have audiences that may disagree strongly with where we're going, and we want to keep our fan base. To be honest with you,
I mean, you're not saying anything that's not.
Right. No.
I'm
not. Yeah, I respect that, brother. But what I'm saying is that I'm trying to make a point here.
Right.
Because one of you spoke about how the enemy sees us overpopulated. Okay? Just hear me out. And I'm not knocking anyone. I'm not trying to be condescending or disrespectful for those who are like that. I'm just speaking of reality.
Right.
That I'm speaking about example of a common denominator.
Right.
Who can disagree with that? That two men cannot produce human life. Raise your hand, all of us on this panel who got here by two males or even two females. Raise your hand.
And if you do, I got more
now
questions.
look.
So Nye was about to crack a whole joke about my mama had two friends and she ain't really say who my daddy was. And I was about to crack a joke. I saw it in your face, Nye.
So look. Let's because see, someone said truth is truth in the chat.
It is.
Right. And Jesus said, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall what? Set you
Make you free. Mm-hmm.
All right, free from the bondage of our enemy's ideology and viewpoint." See, and so we know that it was Henry Kissinger and President Nixon in the 70s. They came up with a plan to depopulate the black family.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is a power
Because of the
because
2000 report.
they've seen our birth rate increasing, right? And then they saw theirs are below zero, and they said by a certain point in time, I think it's 2030, that here in America they will be the minority, and we will be the majority.
Right. And they trying to make it. They trying to make it so the Hispanics do that is the majority because they can. I guess they feel they can control them better.
Well,
that's why they open up the borders.
Many of them identify as white. Many of them identify as white to get the benefits of being white. So
they do.
That's
and
correct.
they get added to the population on.
They get added to the census. And as a former teacher, I can tell you as a former teacher in the database in the county system, they have the vast majority of Hispanic kids listed as white students. So that when a white family is looking for a school for their child to go to, they look up the statistics. It will say this school is 80% white, but the truth is it's 50% Hispanic.
Oh wow!
Right. But let me tell you the truth of that. See, the truth of that is that black, as I said, is not national, it's universal.
Right.
The highest population of black people in the Western Hemisphere is in Brazil.
Yeah. South America.
See? And you got black people in Brazil blacker than I am. I think Sister Donna, you've been to Brazil. I don't know if
I've been there.
They look like me.
Yes. I love it.
There's majority of them are black. In Cuba,
Black.
They speak Spanish. And the only reason they speak Spanish is because they're slave masters. That's the language of the slave master. And they have Spanish
Central
names.
America too. I lived in Central America. It's all black. They thought I was filming until I said something.
And my wife is from Mexico. Her father is blacker than me. Afro like yours, brother.
The old man.
Yeah. Because you got a lot of Afro Mex in Mexico. So this is how he divides us and make us think that we're all different. But we're all the same people. The slave master just dropped them off in Brazil, dropped them off in Mexico, dropped them off in Cuba, and dropped us off where? In America.
Or they took over in those places. Because when I went to go live in Belize, right? I went down to Punta Gorda where I'm talking about where the oldest Belizeans is. I'm talking look like dark locks, everything. And I thought I so-called did some surface research. I was like, wow, it's so amazing how y'all took over those 3 slave ships, and that's how Honduras got populated, and then it spread. They looked at me, man, like, what are you talking about? It was like, man, we got artifacts from over 100,000 years old. We got our original language. We don't even remember no other language. He said they came here with guns and they enslaved us. And that's what happened. Most of these places, we was already there. Remember, like you said, it's divide and conquer.
That's right.
We the majority, they ain't that powerful.
That's right.
We the majority. Where they came with their colonies like they took over where they could, and it spread from there. Like even in 1948, did you know that they didn't just put Jews in Israel? They placed them all over the world. Because when I went to Belize, it was the Mennonites there. The Jewish folks, the Mennonites were right there, and they let me know, no, we were spread all over the world when that happened. So I don't want to side note too far, but that's a little bit of the history. Like we were already all over this place.
That's beautiful.
They came with they
and so what I'm getting at, Sister LaDonna and brothers, is that, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone's
Say your
personal
piece, big
life.
brother.
I was just speaking a truth that even if you are, you know, a lesbian or homosexual, whatever life you live, you're still our brother and sister. We're not judging you. I was just making a point that even that couple came here by male and female,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we acknowledge that that's a common denominator. I'm using that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also, if you go and look at the facts of Henry Kissinger and President Nixon's plan to depopulate the Black population,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the plans was homosexuality and lesbianism. Because if two males get together, two females get together,
Having no baby.
the population will actually cease, right? So they're promoting that among the Black family. Now, let me ask you this. Did you look at the statistics that Sister LaDonna showed about marriage?
Mm-hmm.
What was those statistics, LaDonna? 32%?
Yeah.
Let's look at those statistics again, because now we're going back to the plantation, because it was against the rules of the plantation for Black men and women to marry, because we were not human beings. We were 3/5 of a human being.
We were property.
They said my pigs don't marry, my chickens don't marry, so my nigga's not gonna marry.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, we have been for over 310 years been conditioned to have an aversion towards Black love, marriage, loving our Black woman, and the Black woman loving their Black man, and having the structure of God. Because in the beginning, in the book of Genesis, the first marriage was Adam and Eve. That was God. He structured that first marriage, that first family, Adam and Eve. And follow me now. Now, if we're Black now, that means we're coming from the original mind of God. Our nature is the same nature as God. Our nature is righteousness. And anything that is of God is righteous. So now look at here. It was against the law for Black men to marry, but it was lawful for Black men to be studs, to be philanderers. Go into your mother, nigga, and give me some more niggas. That's where the term MF come from.
Yeah, I know that one.
Man.
Now we're just talking truth now. We're not talking, because truth only offends the guilty. We're not talking about something that we want. See, we got to acknowledge what's right, because we got to be honest. We have adopted the mind of our slave master.
We have.
And he makes right look wrong and wrong look right, up look down and down look up. He makes us view our women the way he views our women. Our women was nothing but an object of pleasure for him. He didn't love the Black woman. It was not marriage when he impregnated her with his seed and all these mulatto children on the plantation. And then he was allowed to go into the big house, the mulatto child, and wear his old coats and his old boots, and he was the house Negro.
Wow.
And the white man made us think that he was better than us. Now let me say this. So as a stud, go into your sister, go into your daughter, and give me some slaves. And we get into the family now.
Somebody gotta die.
Now here we are. You can hardly find a Black woman that have not been violated by a family member. Come on now. By uncle, a father, a nephew,
pastor,
a brother,
cousins.
Cousins. Yep. All this is plantation sickness that he was making war on Black love. It started on the plantation. And now here we are in 2024. We have We have our own family members, own black men creeping into their daughter's room, scarring her for life.
Yeah.
Uncles who should be trusted with their nieces, and now they're molesting their nephews, molesting their own sons, fathers molesting their sons. So now this is what the slave master did to us. It was called buck breaking.
Mm-hmm.
He saw a strong black man that believed in family, that believed in the family structure of Almighty God Allah. And then he took that strong black man and put him out on the plantation, brought all the slaves out, and he violated that black man
In front of everybody.
in front of everybody.
Yep.
And so what I'm saying is that we see that same sickness going on today in our families.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to now address this, brothers.
You're right.
And
You're right.
I'll tell you this now. You have picked the right brothers, Sister LaDonna. God have guided you, because these brothers are dynamic. And I feel their spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But I want us to really look at, brothers, that one thing that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. And this is about the solution. There's no such thing as a no good woman.
Mm.
Every woman that we say is no good, she was made that way by no good man. If you trace her life, the reason why she acts out, the reason why she's recalcitrant, because you see some man that she trusted have violated that trust. And now she's looking at all men through the lens of that violation. Or maybe an uncle, or maybe a father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You understand? And you say, damn, what's wrong with this woman? She don't respect black men.
She crazy.
She crazy. But we ain't talking about what made her that way.
Yeah.
Because
And
there's
I
a long
want to
cause
add
and effect.
something.
Go ahead, Sister.
Yeah.
LaDonna.
So what I see a lot which is like adding to the divide, is just like, well, black women, you hear people say, black women are mean, black women are aggressive, black women, they start to make a little bit of money and now they won't listen to a man. They're not submissive enough. And what it really hurts, and this is like coming from a sister, brothers, it really hurts when it comes from you all, because you are still in our eyes, no matter what the slave master did to emasculate y'all are still our protectors,
Right.
in our eyes and in our heart, right? So when it comes from you, it cuts a little bit deeper, right? And so I think what would help is if, like, Brother Stanley, like the way he, described like what, everything that has happened to us and is happening to us, if we had some empathy from black men, if you all like took a second to think, like, why is this sister like this? Why is she, loud and angry? Why is she, always on guard? If you just show a little empathy, you might be able to break past that, which is what we want. We want y'all to come in and be our knights in shining armors. We don't want to be out here unprotected.
That's right.
We feel like we have to protect ourselves.
I got seven, as you know, Sister LaDonna, I got 7 daughters.
Mm.
So I know what you're talking about. And I got a wife that she's not no Minnie Mouse woman, brothers. I tell you. You'll see on Sunday.
Oh, we see her in the chat right now.
You see on Sunday. But look at this. Look at this now. Look at this. I love my people, regardless of what their condition is, because I can't judge our people, because it was what was done to us that we have to focus on. You don't blame the clay, you blame the potter. If you see a black person that's other than what he should be, just say made in America. Now, I would say this now. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us this, brothers, that a nation can rise no higher than its women.
The women, yeah.
See, when you teach a man, you teach an individual, but when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. See, civilization is not measured by the man. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us under divine leadership of the Honorable Mistress Parker is measured by the woman. Because guess what? Our first lesson comes from who? Our mother.
Our mother, yeah.
She's the first nurse, the first doctor, you see. And if the woman's ignorant, the children going to be ignorant. The nation's going to be ignorant. So we have to understand that the pain that the woman has, she passes that pain on to the children, the ignorance to the children. But vice versa. If she's intelligent and she's wise, right, then she will pass on that wisdom to our children. She'll pass on that peace and happiness and love to our children. That's why in war, the woman's always called the booty, the spoils of war.
And you know what? Another thing, just to add what you were saying too, they are definitely the great teachers. You know, even from the womb, starting from the womb, right? The game is downloaded from the womb. That's the first. That's the first piece of game. Then when you come out the womb, guess what happens? The first day of school, wherever it is you need to get, guess who's going to be there to get you right? It's your mother.
That's right. Right.
So guess what happens? So guess what happens? Guess what happens next? Guess what happens next? When you get ready to go to high school, right? And you need to get your grades, right? And you got your girlfriend. Guess what she's gonna do? She's gonna make sure you get your work, right? While your homeboys laughing at you while you failing, she's gonna make sure you keep your grades up, right?
That's right.
So then guess what happens? As you graduate through life, you're gonna find that there's gonna be a woman that's gonna be connected to your ascension in life at some point, whether if you like her or not, whether if you date her or not, right?
There you go,
look back, if you look back at the lineage of how you got there, some type of woman paved the way for you to get there. So with that being said, I'll just say we just have to have more honor in that because remember, they're the original gang givers.
No, they're not. Somebody saying I thought the woman is the reflection of a man. Is the woman the leader now? I'm getting confused here. That's why.
Okay. You know what? Thank you.
So can I?
No, it's not the woman's the leader. No. The woman is the standard of civilization.
Standard. Okay.
I say
David got something to say, y'all. Hold on.
I say they the gatekeepers of morality, especially here in America. They the gatekeepers of morality.
Yes,
These people run it through them before they go on the show with it. You get what I'm saying? Take it on the road. I meant to say.
Right.
What you got, Damon? About the woman being the leader? What was you about?
No, that's not where I'm.
Where you
going? I love what Brother Stanley said about there are no bad women. My question for everyone would be, if we all agree that the woman is the standard, then whether that woman is married or not, how do we create a generation of teachable women? Because the example you gave was that there are no bad women. If a woman is bad, it's because a man did something to her. Okay. Now, I don't completely agree with that. I do agree with you, but I also think there's a generation of women who teach other women bad behavior and pass that down from generation to generation as well. So maybe a man did the first woman wrong, and then she taught every woman after her to do certain things that aren't in the right light. So I think there's two different groups of women there. But my question is, with all of the noise that we get from social media, and we get pressure from family, and we get pressure from education, how do we create a generation of teachable women who are open to learning something new than what they've already been taught or what they're being bombarded with, with who they should be, what they should look like, what they should sound like. How do we create how do I compete? How do we compete with Sexy Red, and how do we compete with some of these other sounds and voices and images? How do we make a more teachable woman so that we can kind of right the ship a little bit? That's my question for everybody.
By
For
setting
me,
the example. By
for
setting the
me,
example. I'm gonna
yes,
say
sir.
that by setting the example.
For me, I'm starting with my daughters.
That's
I
a
got
good
three
one.
of them.
That's a good one.
I got three of them. In the Bible, it says, "Be fruitful, then multiply." Right?
That's
It
right.
means become somebody conducive to society that somebody gonna look at and say, you know what, we need more of him around here. So I got three of them, and with that, it can change the dynamic of this whole world by teaching them, raising them right, teaching them the right things, teaching them game, telling them they're beautiful over and over again. So when a dude say it don't sound new. So a lot of these things, I'm instilling so much game into my daughters that, ooh, I hope they can find me.
Yeah. And can I go next? I'm actually gonna take what the brother said and what we have right here, like the no good woman was made that way by a no good man. Instead of Damon like going straight to how do we create teachable women, start with the men. How do we create better men that don't harm women or that are present, that are secure, that are leaders? Because that's where it starts.
But those men aren't popular. Those men are not getting
Popular. Why are we talking about popular?
so if we're gonna have an honest and real conversation, I expected that response. I respected that response. I did. But men that are respectable, men that are honorable, men, they're not popular. They're not attractive. And so
To
what you
who?
see is the vast majority of women out here are not attracted to a man who respects them. And that's
I
why
don't agree.
I'm trying to well, of course you don't agree, because we talk about this every show, because you're looking at women who are in a different class. I'm trying to figure out how do we get more people into the class that you're in. I want to get them into the
Plenty of
class that
women
you're
over
in.
here. There's plenty of women
Okay.
over here.
So what I want to know is, and maybe the answer to my question is creating more men, absolutely, that are honorable, that are respectful, that are. But I can tell you that a lot of men will tell you that they are respectful towards women. They are chivalrous towards women. They are nice towards women, and they get treated poorly. And so a lot of men feel like, the term nice guys finish last. A lot of guys feel like, well, I do all the things that I'm supposed to do, and I don't get the time or attention from the women that I should. So that's what I'm trying to do, is how do we counteract on both sides of the table? How do we counteract this kind of, we should make men who are respectful more popular and more attractive than men who are disrespectful. That's kind of where I want to go. So yes, I agree with you. We should make more men that act a certain way and live a certain way, but how do we then make that man more attractive?
You know what? Somebody made a good comment. The woman is a constellation and consoler, right? There's a theory that the man represents the light, the way, the sun, right? And so that would mean everything else evolves around it, right? So if we're the proverbial light in the path to what, as the leader, right? You would think that at some point, yes, are there some women that may be quote unquote unteachable, but we can't allow that to take us out of our greatness as men.
Right.
That's my point, right?
Them
We need to set the example. Those who don't get it, eventually what happens is, one of the biggest things we have to also realize, we live in a world of fads, right? It's fads. People dictate the direction of the mindset of how we're going to go as a whole, as a society, right? So I'm sure if we took responsibilities for our part, and then one woman would catch on, and then another woman would catch on, and eventually the ones who don't catch on will be drowned out where it doesn't even matter. So life is about balance. You're going to have negative and positive situations, right? So this is how it is. So if we have enough power, and I do believe we have enough power to drown out those small numbers so that the bigger number rises above that and we don't even notice it.
And how do we do that?
By setting the example. Now that's a different conversation on how we set the example. Now that's a whole nother show.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So if we don't understand how, and this is not on you per se, Damon, I'm not saying this, but if we can all learn and take pieces from each other on how to set the example, that's a whole nother story. And maybe we may need to do that one day. And today, but today is not the day, but that's my answer.
Can I synthesize both of these views?
Okay,
Because
go ahead,
I think that some of us are saying 5 + 2 is 7, right? And someone else is saying, well, 4 × 3 is 7. You know, so was that right? That was wrong.
Oh, we know what you meant. We know what you meant.
You know what I mean?
You know what you meant, but yeah.
4 + 3 is 7, right?
Yeah.
So we have different expressions, right? But it boils down to the same conclusion.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And but we have to go to the root of things, brothers and sisters, to understand that, you know, how we get to this point to raise the civilization of our people by raising civilization of the woman, right? Now, first thing the man must learn is the nature of the woman. Because if we don't know the nature of a thing, we won't know the actions of a thing.
Right.
See, the Holy Quran says the male is not like the female. So the problem with this war, this conflict, men are looking at things from their nature, right? And women looking at from her nature.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't understand the nature of things, of this woman, and the woman don't understand the nature of man, that which is made to complement each other becomes a conflict of each other. That's the war.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to read something from the Honorable Minister Farrakhan's monumental book, A Torchlight for America, on page 99. Just something brief, it's not long. Promoting positive relations between the sexes. This is what he says. The basis of proper male-female relationships. Quote, neither male nor female can fulfill their relationship to each other until they are first properly connected to the source of all creation, which is God. There's no way we can fulfill our, duty or relationship to each other until we're properly connected with God. And we talked about that on a surface earlier. Then the minister said, quote, this is why divorce rate is so high and the dissatisfaction rate in relationship between the sexes is even higher. The nature of male and female are different, but they are meant to complement each other. Mm-hmm. In the absence of knowledge, the different natures of male and female can work destructively against the self and against the union of both. So here we're seeing the destructive behaviors in the relationship. We're destructive with our voices or our tongues, because the Bible says the power of life and death is in the tongue, and we kill the spirit of each other because we don't understand the nature of each other, and we're not connected properly to the first black being in the universe, which is God. Then the minister said the fundamental knowledge that is absent in male-female relationship is the knowledge of how we should relate to God and each other. Is our disconnection from God that is at the root of failing an improper relationship between man and woman. This is a very deep problem in relationship between black men and women. So I'm saying this clearly. The nature of the woman is to be a consoler of God. You didn't hear me now. I said the nature of the woman is to be the consoler of God, but not Satan. She's recalcitrant towards Satan. Mm-hmm. Now, when I say God, the Bible says in Psalms 82, verse 6, ye are all gods,
Come on.
children of the Most High God. So the Most Holy Elijah Muhammad said, every time I look at the face of a black man, I'm looking to the face of God. So if you and the black man, we don't see ourselves as God, and God is love, we won't see her as God. Because she's the second self of God. Because she comes from God. Now, if her nature is to console God, we must ask ourselves, how much of God's attributes does she see in us? And God, in Islam, God has 99 attributes, and 100 attribute make up Allah. And he has more. And we look at and study those attributes. The very nature of God is our nature. We have the same nature of the supreme being, but it's dormant. And our bad experience here in America have made the attributes of God dormant. And now Satan or our enemy have activated the attributes of self-hatred, envy, jealousy, lust, greed. We have more of that in us than we have beneficence, which is the attribute of God. And the more the woman sees beneficence in us, the more she sees mercy in us, the more she sees forgiveness in us, the more she sees the Rab, which means nurturer, in us. Guess what? She can't reject God.
No.
She begins to bow. She begins to be submissive. But a man can't expect a woman to be submissive to him if he's not submissive to God, because only God can reactivate those dormant attributes that's in us. And the more she sees God in us, the more she falls in love with us. Now, we have a definition of a nice guy, a good guy. You know, a nice guy might say, how you doing? You sure look nice today. And she might say, who the hell you talking to, freak?
That's the light. That's the light that we're talking about. That's the light you give, right?
Right.
Like giving a smile, that's the light.
Yeah, don't let it change you.
But the thing is that does not, it can have motive to it. See, people can talk nice, but what's your motive? Because one language of Satan is he likes to flatter because he wants something from you. When someone flatters you, that means they want something from you. So she might pick it up. But if she sees the genuine attribute of God in a man, which women, this is another thing, brothers, we got to realize, she might not even know this about herself. Her nature is to test and try a man to see if he's qualified to lead her.
Hello. Better put that.
She might put her girlfriend in front of you with showing her pickaboo.
Really, Donna?
Don't encourage.
Don't encourage.
Look, brother.
Slave Master Johnson's daughter.
She might put a home record in front of you to see if you actually fall for it. And then at that point, she knows you ain't the man of God. See, and then she her nature. That's why in the Bible she's called a bride. A bride is a horse. It's an allegorical picture. She's not a horse, but it's the Bible gives you a picture that you can extract the principle, right? And the principle of a horse gonna buck. To see if you qualify. The bucking is called testing. If you qualify the rider, so you must come with some spurs. You must come with them boots.
You're right, because I don't mind
in that mouth.
Hey, I don't mind a stallion every once in a while. I'll be honest with you.
You like stallions.
But you know what, Brother Stanley, like I actually have a book that I think it's called The Relationship Manual from the Studies of the Nation, and like it actually like goes through like the process of courting and like the questions you're supposed to
Yeah,
ask in the beginning.
I
And
remember that.
You
yeah,
got
and it's like,
okay. Well, suggest that book then, because that's the solution. Come on now, what's that?
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
What is
That-
it called?
It's
I
called
think
it's a courtship manual.
the
The
courtship
courtship
manual.
manual.
Yeah,
Can we
you
get
got
it?
you got
Can
you
we
got
get it and share with other people?
Hey
we
y'all,
can.
the
I
courtship
have it.
manual.
Yeah, it's just that you got to take that man to court, you got to take that woman to court, and you got to go through a
You got to go
discovery
to
period.
their hometown and ask questions. That's what
Right, right, and the
you meet people in
ex-wife and the
other states. You need to go to their
ex-girlfriend, and
Yeah, no, it has like this, like a
it's
lot
a
of
science.
questions.
It's a science to it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you know, we weren't taught that, right? We weren't taught how to, you know, other cultures have, you know, the process for whether it's like arranged marriages or even just culturally what's taught down. But us as, you know, African Americans here in America, we don't have anything like that. We're winging it. We're learning from the
on the
examples
fly.
of our mothers, right? We learn it on the fly, you know, from our parents, what we see on TV,
Especially.
now the internet, and we need to spread the knowledge of the courtship manual. And
Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that.
yeah, it's some great questions in there that I actually use in my dating process. Going back to, you know, how were you raised? You know, did you grow up with were your mother and father married? Right. Did you grow up, you know, in a single parent household? You know, how do you handle conflict? You know, things that.
Did you grow up on survival or love?
Love. Ooh.
That's a good question, though. That's a very
them
good.
two people don't mix. The person that's raised on survival, they usually don't mix with somebody that's raised on love. So that's actually a valid question. I don't know if you should ask it like that, but you can ask the right questions to get that answer.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube so you never miss when we go live or drop more insightful conversations just like this. It's all about smart love.
I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.